Oh wow, I don't even know where to start. Um, I'm not a social media person. I don't really do social media. Um, but I don't even know if I'm going to upload this to social media. I just wanted to share my experience being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer with bone metastasis, bone mets for short. And I just kind of want to chronicle the process. Maybe everyone calls it a journey, but the process. And so I decided to film this video just the way I am today, with crazy hair, no makeup, because a lot of times these days I don't really wear as much makeup as I used to, although I like to. My hair has been thinning out, which is part of the treatment plan that I'm on. I won't lose my hair, so I'm very thankful for that. But I guess I should start at the beginning. I don't have a history of breast cancer in my family. Actually, no history of cancer in my family at all. And when I was 45, I just turned 45 in February, I decided to get a mammogram because never had any problems before, like I said. And at my annuals, they would, palpate the breasts and nothing was ever an issue. So at 45, I thought, okay, well, let me go get a mammogram. So I did. And there was an area of concern. I had mentioned that I had felt this small lump, but I thought maybe it was, just due to my regular cycle, whatever. And they did see that area, and they wrote up a report saying that it was suspicious, but not necessarily for malignancy. It just had areas of suspicion, but also, as not most women, but maybe 50% of women have dense breast tissue, where mine was the highest dense breast tissue, which is like D. I guess they label it from A to D. So mine was very dense, which makes things hard to see through a regular mammogram. Even a 3D mammogram, it's hard to see. It looks like snow, and so you can't really see that area of concern. So she recommended that I follow up and do a breast ultrasound, as well as maybe some other imaging that could be done. So from there, February, I started trying to get into anywhere, really, to get this imaging done. So it's required that you have an order from a doctor or a nurse to then get this imaging done. So I called my primary care, but I hadn't been there in over a year. So then that is a new patient. You're required to, do new patient things, which is fine, but they put you at the bottom of the list. So from February, I had to wait until, I want to say, the beginning of June. So like 4 months to get in. And so I thought, let me try another avenue. So I called my gynecologist, and I hadn't been there in a while, but I've had both my children there. And they are teenagers, but I had both kids there, and I used to go there for my annuals. I hadn't been there in a couple years, maybe 2.5 years. So when I called them, they were unwilling to get me in. I also had to be treated as a new patient. And so I initially did that. I was scheduled with them at the end of May, the very end of May, or the early part of June. I can't remember now because it's been so long. I want to say it was in June. But I went ahead and made both those appointments. But while time passed, I noticed this lump was just changing, and my husband was getting worried about it, and I was pretending like I wasn't worried about it, but I was getting worried about it too. And so I started to try to take these other avenues, and I called local radiology, and everyone just was really unwilling to help me without an order. I offered to pay cash. I have insurance, but we offered to pay cash to get us in quicker, and they said that's something that's just not even done. I'm taking this stupid weighted vest off of me because I'm getting short of breath already. So everywhere we were going was like just kind of getting dead end. And I talked with a young girl. I say young girl, she's probably in her 30s. It was trying to help me, but like not really trying to help me, back and forth. I sent the imaging of my mammogram to her so she could see that it said that I did need extra imaging, but because I didn't have an order from the doctor, there was really nothing she could do, and her hands were tied. She did call me back after my husband called, and he was really upset, and he was telling them, like, this is ridiculous. Why can't we get in? We live in Florida. It is very busy here in the healthcare system. A lot of people are elderly, so we understand that. But it was just like, you see this area of concern, and everyone tells you that, when you see something, you have to work on it right away, and we were trying to do that, but we were getting nowhere. I tried some other avenues with some local breast cancer organizations, which I won't mention, but they tried to help me, and then that fell through. It's like I couldn't really rely on anybody. I talked to these nurses, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll write the order for you," but it never happened. And I was really, really busy at work, working 55 hours a week, and so I mean, I've got 2 teenagers, I've got a family to run and a husband, and so it kind of took a back seat. Yeah, my health took a back seat, and I'm the kind of person that just works through things. I just work it out, you know. And so I just kept working and ignoring it. And fast forward to May, I was feeling really just exhausted in a way that I've never felt before. But you know, when you're talking with people, I mean, I'm a hairdresser, so you're talking with people, and people will say like, "Well, you shouldn't be tired. You're not that young, or you're not that old, or you're young, or whatever." And it's true. I usually have a lot of energy, but I was just feeling so run down, and it was hard for me to get up in the morning and go through my day. And I was getting a lot of pain in my back, a lot of pain in my shoulders, a pain that started like in my sternum and kind of wrapped around to the left side of my rib cage. And you know, I'm talking with people about it, and they're like, "Oh, that could be your gallbladder. It could be so many things." But I had this nagging feeling that something was just really, really wrong. And so, my dad's birthday was May 25th, and I had bought him a gift, and I gave it to him early because I just had this feeling like that I wasn't going to make his birthday party, which was the day after his birthday, May 26th. And I ended up going to the emergency room that Sunday, the 26th. My husband pretty much forced me, but I had been just downing like Advil and Tylenol, back and forth to get through the pain that I was experiencing. So I had massive fever that I had, and I don't know how long I had the fever. I don't know. And I'm talking to you guys without any paperwork and notes because I don't like to go back and look at those notes. But if something seems like it's incorrect or whatever, you feel free to leave a comment or whatever and ask me, what did you mean by that, or what does this mean? But I got diagnosed with cancer in the emergency room, long story short. I was having chest pain, which to me was like mild, just difficulty breathing. And if you've got chest pain and you go to the ER, you get seen really quick. So that's a pointer for you. So I wasn't even finished signing my name on the registration. They took me back, did my vitals. I had a fever of 103.8. So, I mean, it was nearing 104. So that was a concern. I guess the Tylenol and Advil had been masking that. And they were doing all kind of vitals, you know, and they took some blood, and I guess they didn't like what they saw in the blood. So they admitted me, mostly because of the chest pain. They wanted to do a CT scan, which they did. They did several, but they did the first one, X-ray, and then they saw a mass there, and the mass was concerning, of course. And so after further imaging in the ER, the doctor who was on call or working the floor that day came in, and she's the one that told us the news that, you know, I had breast cancer that was 2 centimeters by 2.3 centimeters, neoplasm, and it had spread to my bone, areas of my bone. And I don't know if anyone's watching this that has experience with cancer, or if you don't, you feel like it's the only time I've ever felt literally out of my body. I had this out of body experience where I just felt like I wasn't there. I felt like I was listening to what she was saying, and her eyes were just concerned, you know, and she had this look of absolute fear on her face while she's giving me this news. And my husband's beside me, and I couldn't even look at him, and she basically was looking at me like I was a dead person walking, you know. And I wasn't scared. I kind of feel like I had already kind of come to this conclusion, but I didn't think it would happen that fast. I just didn't think that, you know, you could feel a lump from February, and in May you have cancer that's moved to distant parts of your body. So they admitted me. They did a lot of tests on me. I had several, like I said, MRI, CT scans. The cancer looked like it was on my spine. And originally, the radiologist wrote that it was probably degenerative disc disease, so DDD, degenerative disc disease of the spine. But upon further biopsy of my bone, I had a bone biopsy, which was pretty painful, by my oncologist. It concluded that the cancer was indeed in the bones, and it had been in the blood. There was like a high level of protein in my blood when they did this testing at the emergency room also. So from there, I went right into treatment. I go to the Florida cancer specialist. I also go to Moffitt and sometimes Mayo. I see an integrative, like a doctor who does some natural medicine. She can also prescribe medication. So right now I'm on Kisqali Femara. I'm on 400 milligrams a day, and 2.5 milligrams of letrozole. And if you don't know what that is, letrozole is an aromatase inhibitor. Basically stops the hormones, because my biopsy came back that my cancer is hormone receptor positive for estrogen, so ER positive. So it's hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative, and HER2 is human, it's kind of like epithelial, like epidermal receptor, and that's when the cells just turn over really quickly. That was negative. So I'm estrogen receptor positive, progesterone receptor negative, HER2 negative. And that's good and bad, I guess, because you can stop the hormones from secreting estrogen. So you suppress the estrogen, which is what the letrozole does. And the Kisqali is a more like targeted therapy. It's considered, I guess, an oral chemo, but it goes to these areas of cancer, and it works by protein. It blocks a protein that cancer patients have. So far it's been okay. My white blood cells have been pretty crummy since starting it, so sometimes I have to go off of that, and then I'll go back on. I take a little break sometimes. I guess you can go down to 200. They start at 600, which I didn't start at. I started at 4. But I guess you can go down to 200, but my doctor doesn't want to do that because she wants to keep me on the 400 as long as I can be. And I don't have a lot of side effects from it. I just started losing my hair, and I've been on treatment now for, since June, and this is November. So June, July, August, September, October, 4.5, 5 months, and my hair just started really thinning out. I get a lot of it out when I'm washing it, and it's just overall thinner and brittle. It doesn't seem like it used to. Like, I have really naturally curly hair, and now it's just kind of like limp and wavy, but I can't complain about that. As far as other side effects besides the white blood cells being low, really low, I haven't been able to work because I deal with the public, and so that's been hard for me. I really enjoy working. I enjoy getting out there with people, and I love doing hair. I've done it for 26 years, so it's part of my identity. It's actually, like, before I got this diagnosis, it was a lot of my identity. I'm a worker. I like to work. And so this was really devastating and hard for me. And as you can tell, it's kind of still hard for me. But I'm doing what is needed to do right now, which is kind of center in on myself and focus on myself. And so I walk once a day, sometimes twice a day. My husband goes with me, which has been really, really nice. He's been super supportive. And my kids have been really great with too. And they are teenagers, so I think that makes it a little easier. I don't have little babies to take care of, but in a way it makes it harder because they know exactly what's going on. I can't really sugarcoat anything with them. They understand what's happening. So that's been difficult. Also, my dad got diagnosed with cancer in his 70s, so that's not a genetic tie, but he has colon cancer, and so we're going through cancer at the same time, which actually is a blessing in disguise because I can be there for him and he can be there for me. We know what we're going through, and I think he's going through a little bit rougher of a time because he's got chemotherapy, which he has 3 different kinds of chemo, which he just finished, and now he's going through radiation. So he's had a time, but he's a trooper, man. He's hanging tough. So we're there for each other, which has been great. But I would like to get back to work. So the white blood cells are just shitty. Sorry, they're just crappy. There was also some other signs of my overall platelets being low, and then the calcium in the blood. So back to the drugs that I'm on is Kisqali, Femara, Zometa, which is either a shot or an infusion. Mine is an infusion, so I go in about once a month for that. It's not really a big deal. The first time I got it, I was in a lot of pain. The next day I had a lot of bone pain, which is a side effect. But for the most part, it takes like a half an hour. You go in there, you're probably in there for a little longer because they've got to prep you for the infusion and stuff like that. But then you get the infusion, and that's it. Maybe I'm there for like an hour and a half. Some people that are there with their chemo are there for 6 hours, so I'm grateful that I'm not there for 6 hours, and I only have to do this, like I said, once a month, I think. I've also got a shot called Zoladex, and Zoladex is a gossamer implant. They use it in patients that have endometriosis and other things of that nature, but it eventually just stops the ovaries. It prevents the ovaries from releasing an egg. So I have that as hormone, and I have the Femara for hormone therapy, and it's put me into straight menopause, which I was not ready for. I had a period all the way up until I got this and was on this medication, and I have really bad hot flashes, and my heart goes out to anyone that is postmenopausal or menopausal or perimenopausal that have hot flashes, because it is literally terrible. Like, it can be really terrible. Like I said, I live in Florida, and it's hot here most of the time, and I'm hot a lot. So my husband has been very patient with me, but I keep our room pretty cold, and I have fans on me all the time, and he probably has to bundle up beside me, but he's been a trooper about it. So for that, I mean, that's not a side effect that's really too bad, and sometimes I feel kind of bad because I don't feel terrible. But I did have a lot of back pain, and it's gone away for the most part. I'm just going to thank God for taking that from me, because I don't really have the pain. Sometimes I feel bad because I'll be at the oncologist, and there's people there beside you. You know, you're getting blood drawn a lot, so you meet a lot of people, and I talk with a lot of people, and some of the people, I mean, they feel awful. They look like they feel awful, and they truly feel awful. So I am grateful that I don't feel awful. But it's been quite a journey to know that when your cancer spreads to another part of your body, especially distant parts, that it's stage 4. Someone tells you that you got stage 4 cancer, and it's a come to Jesus moment if you don't already have faith, because you know, no one knows when they're going to go or when you're going to leave this earth. But when you hear news like that, you just kind of have this revelation that, you know, time is very precious, and it is precious anyway, but you have this sense of how precious it really is. And so I've done a lot of inventory in my life, mental and physical, and so I'm just really trying not to let those little things get to me anymore. I know God's in control of my life, and he has me in the palm of his hand. He always has. So I just want to stay positive, and I want to be positive for other people out there who are going through any kind of disease, not just cancer, but any kind of disease that is debilitating or life-threatening. And so I met with this natural doctor, and she put me on a couple different drugs, maybe controversial, I don't really know. Metformin she put me on because sugar does take that pathway of glucose, and so I've cleaned up my diet. I'm still working on cleaning up my diet. I love sugar. I love all things sweet. So I'm starting to do keto. I'm doing pretty well with keto. It's difficult if you're really trying to do it the right way. So I've been doing that, trying to eat leaner meats and fish and chicken, and I do have vegetables, but I'm even trying to limit the fruit right now because they want to get that glucose under control. So I'm doing that, and if anybody's interested in that, Keto for Cancer is great. Dr. Thomas Seyfried talks about the metabolic approaches to cancer and how cancer can be a metabolic disease. And they go into all the ways that you can get cancer that's environmental or whatever. But then they also talk about how to treat it first with diet, lifestyle changes, things like that. And that's been super helpful for me because I'm a doer. I want to do things. I want to feel like I'm in control. Even if this disease, I want to feel like I've got it. I want to do everything I can do to say that I've done everything, so that I don't feel like there was a rock that I didn't overturn. Or I'm interested in all of the different methods. And I want to say it's Nasha Winters. She does the metabolic approach for cancer, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. But there's also another, I got it as an audiobook, but it's a book called Radical Remission, and it talks about cancer survivors, people who were thriving, that were told that they had absolutely no chance to live. And Joe Tippins, another good person for inspiration. And there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of good people out there that I found on YouTube that I watch their videos all the time just to try to see what they're doing. And cancer fighter Owen, I watch him. Like I said, Crispy Cancer's one. I watch a couple other women and their blogs on cancer. So for the most part, you know, it's not about, I guess the question that I get a lot is like, you know, when will I be in remission? And I don't think that that's something that is discussed when you have stage 4 cancer. I don't think it's to give people false hope. I think it's just so that you know that you're fighting something that may never leave your body. You may be able to live a really, really long time with this, but it may never actually leave your body. And that's because I've got to take this call. It's from my doctor. I'll be right back.